We got the story from the AP. Alex Jones ordered to pay $473 million more
there you go.
to Sandy Hook families. So $1.44 billion. Okay. Connecticut Judge Barbara Bellis imposed the punitive damages on the InfoWars host and free speech system. Jones reportedly told his millions of followers. Yeah, you get the point. The record clearly supports the plaintiff's argument the defendant's conduct was intentional and malicious and certain to cause harm by virtue of their infrastructure, ability to spread content, and massive audience, including info warriors. I think it's all lies. I think Alex Jones is a guy who goes in a show and says things he thinks, and he's often wrong. And he has free speech rights to do it. He doesn't have a free speech right to defame people, but I believe he only defamed one person explicitly. I do think he was wrong to say this, and I do think it did cause damages. But this court, in my opinion, has delegitimized itself by saying a gajillion, bajillion megabucks. They may have well just said, you know, a meteor made of gold. It doesn't exist. It's not going to happen.
A death penalty. Why don't you just give him the death penalty? I mean, it's not.
Take him out back.
It's not that far off. And of course, you know, he wasn't right sometimes, and he did get a lot of criticism, but he also apologized for what he did. So again, first they try to silence you. Second, they try to take you down through legal means. And third, they totally take you out. I think we're in the second phase here. I think what's happening to him is insane, is crazy. I was even critical of him a few years ago. But again, if they're doing this to him, why can't we do the same to the corporate media?
But are they going after him because, I feel like, what is their point? Is it because he was one of the outspoken people for Trump, just like Steve Bannon? They've gone after every single person that has been influential in the MAGA movement, and he has a huge fan base. Steve Bannon has a huge fan base. They went after Roger Stone. They went after Mike Flynn. They've literally taken down everybody. Milo. They've taken down anybody that's been associated with Trump, and they go, oh, look at all these indictments. Even if it has nothing to do with him, but it's just like they wipe out one of them at a time with process crimes, with not complying or whatever Steve Bannon did. It's just little tiny things, but just to say, hey, look.
Anyone who supports Trump.
Yes.
They target.
Yeah.
Man, it's so crazy how many media personalities who had big shows and supported Trump gone, and unrelated. I'm a big DeSantis fan. I never liked Trump. I don't support Trump. DeSantis all the way.
But it's true. When we look at the online social media presence and the memes and the supporters of Donald Trump, they were the ones that got him into office. That's what I think. They were the ones who stood up and said, hey, this is absolutely crazy. Here's some memes. Here's a point of view. Here's my hot take on this issue. And it was individuals like Loomer, like Milo, like Alex Jones, like Bannon that were there on the forefront that represented a huge anti-establishment wing. And slowly and surely, they were being taken out by the establishment as Donald Trump was kind of watching it all transpire and didn't decide to intervene and help out his supporters, which is another criticism of him that I think is legitimate, because he had the power to not only just say something, but to intervene, to pass executive orders, to pass laws, but to more importantly, also help set up other infrastructure and other platforms. When he saw all of his supporters being censored and banned, everyone was telling him, you're going to be next.
Yeah, he couldn't do an executive order.
Well, he could have done a number of things.
He could have just tried and invigorate a different platform like he's doing now with Truth Social, but now it's too late.
He could have went to Parler, right? Or he could have went to Truth Social, but he didn't do any of that.
Well,
as people were telling him. But people were telling him.
He could have gone to Gab or Minds. And I remember I was at the social media summit, and someone stood up and said, why don't you sign up for an alternative platform? And he goes, which one? Which one? And then people were like, there's a bunch. But I guess my understanding is Kushner told him not to do it. Not to go to Parler?
Well, and was it Kushner that helped put all these people in positions around him that completely failed him, like Jeff Sessions and, if there's like one criticism I have of him, he surrounded himself with people, and I guess it was just to appease and make himself not look like he was coming in and just, he said he was going to drain the swamp, but he didn't.
Yeah. He surrounded himself with a lot of swamp monsters.
Very swampy. And I think he got in there and realized just how deep that swamp was, or at least how wide it was. And it was a lot. And he didn't have the people who were going to pull around him. That's for sure. And he hasn't been the best human resources manager in that regard. He definitely put the wrong people around him.
But that probably would be really overwhelming, going in there with so many people against you to know exactly who to trust.
Well, you're going in as a businessman, not as a politician. You're going in there. You're not willing to shake hands and put your arms around everybody else and say, I'm going to scratch your back, you scratch mine. And that's a very elementary way of saying what goes on. But there is an element of that. You're going to do me a favor, I'm going to do you a favor. He went in there like a bull in a china shop. Unfortunately, I think, God, I don't care if people come down on me on this, but I mean, Trump went in there to drain the swamp and ended up becoming very swampy.
Well, he didn't have the infrastructure around him.
I don't think he became swampy.
And I
He
think
became swampy.
He did not.
Well, it depends. Operation Warp Speed and all these other things. It's all on people's
Right.
personal beliefs, and at the end of the day, people will decide what they think of him on their own personal political ideas. But one thing that I did want to bring up is that he didn't have the infrastructure, and he went along, and I think he should have fired a whole bunch of people. He should have been like, "There's a lot of bureaucracy here. I don't know who you are. You're probably going to screw
Right.
me over. You're probably going to leak to the media. Fired." It's clean house.
I think the answer to that is it what y'all have like a beltway here or something? Like you need to, if he's elected again or DeSantis, all the people they surround themselves with needs to be like out of this DC area.
Yeah. Bring in
Like,
insiders.
Get some people from like Minnesota or Texas.
I would rather see blue collar workers at the White House than
Just
the
not
same
Rick Perry.
bureaucrats that were there. Eliminate everyone. Just get coal miners. Be like, hey, you're going to be in
Yes.
charge
I
of
lo-
the EPA. Like,
People who
let's
have done
do this.
People who have done this shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you said people from Texas. I said just not Rick Perry.
I didn't know
you
what
guy
you
who
said.
says let's abolish the Department of Energy, and then they put him in charge of the Department of Energy.
Wow.
Yeah, not good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah. God, I really like y'all. I should run for office, like as a Democrat, because I can't finish sentences.
Yeah, but you're
Great.
cute.
I know.
You do
I
finish
smile.
sentences. You do. Now,
No, I don't.
the thing there is, and when I say he got swampy, the whole deal is, like you said, Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah.
Until Trump comes out and says, I was wrong. He's never going to do that. But he pushed. He did it to appease. He pushed the vac.
And he's still
Can we
doing
say
it.
that word? I don't even know.
The procedure. He's still
pushed
telling people to take the procedure.
He pushed it. He brought
He's not a
the
doctor.
CEO of Johnson & Johnson out on the rally stage the other day. Said, "Here's a guy that makes a lot of money. I mean, he makes a lot of money." And the place booed.
Bill Gates is bragging right now, saying, "I told Trump not to investigate the procedure. He did it. I was telling him how to implement policies, and he wanted me to become the science czar." That's what Bill Gates is saying today.
Donald Trump desperately wants to take credit. He will not back down from that.
No,
he
will
wants
not.
it to be his great victory. He won't back down. I don't know. Look, people like his ego, I guess.
I don't
Is that a
understand
big
that.
component of it?
You wouldn't want to be married to that, right? I don't understand why you want to be. You don't want that guy to be your neighbor. But again, and I think there's a big portion of Americans out there that are conservatives that do not want government intrusion in your life. They got locked down, lost their jobs. People screaming for reparations. There needs to be pandemic reparations. I mean, that Emily Oster that wrote that article last week or whatever, Halloween for The Atlantic, said there needs to be pandemic amnesty. Screw you. Until there's real true reparations for that, people restored to their jobs. There's unless you can bring grandma back, and you can't. And I look at that and I'm like, Trump was a part of that.
Yeah.
He was a part of that. He was a part of he allowed Fauci to go too
But
far.
I don't think he knew. I think a lot of people were
But see, again, that's the
scrambling
argument that people, I knew, and I'm
Yeah.
nobody. I knew.
Yeah, I knew Dr. Fauci was full of crap.
I knew.
Yeah, as soon as he was implementing policies saying Black Lives Matter protests are great and they don't spread the virus, but lockdown protests are dangerous and we shouldn't be doing those.
Well,
so
they're
as soon as that happened,
unconstitutional.
Donald Trump should have been like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why are you saying Black Lives Matter protests are okay, but lockdown protests are
But
not?
your
That's not
grandma's
science."
funeral's not okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can't go to weddings, you can't go to funerals.
So legitimate question then. Like, what about Trump made him completely blind to we saw the riots happening in the George Floyd riots. Why didn't Trump? We knew it was bad. We knew Tom Cotton said Insurrection Act. Trump did nothing. Wasn't there at least outside of Trump not taking action on the riots? Wasn't there an obvious contradiction when you couldn't go outside because of the lockdowns, and even Trump was advocating for them? I tweeted this recently. Donald Trump ragged on Sweden over not locking down. Sweden has had less excess deaths, and they didn't the least amount.
Yeah, their performance is one of the best in the world.
Where was Trump's mind in lockdowns are important? I am not going to do or say anything about these Black Lives Matter protests.
Right.
Yeah. The scientists came out and were like, yeah, it's the establishment scientists
Well, there
and
was
propaganda
Colorado
newspapers.
University.
Yep, they're like,
University of Colorado.
They're like, you see, when people protest for democratic causes, this helps everyone with COVID. But when they protest things that we don't like, that's bad. And it was so bipartisan. It was so partisan. Excuse me. It was so partisan. It was so biased. It was such a slap in the face to anyone paying attention. And I don't think Donald Trump didn't see it coming. I think it was more obvious than ever.
I want to point this out because we're going to go to the next segment. But, and I was thinking about Alex Jones having to pay $1.4 billion. I was like, wouldn't it be awesome if he won that Powerball?
Paid in full.
Yeah, paid in full.
But when you take a number like that, you look at that. I mean, that's basically a death penalty. Here's a guy who can't pay $1.5 billion off. You can't do that.
I don't think it's anywhere near that. Look, they're not going to get a penny from him, and it's not going to stop him.
No.
He's going to look. There's already other people he's worked with running companies, doing similar things.
I'm buying supplements right now.
We get it. Alex they're going to say you can't have money, and he's going to say, but someone else can have money, and that's how it's always been. So what's he going to do? Start a new C corp, and the C corp's got money, and you can't sue the C corp? Yeah, look, they'll try, they'll sue, they'll file. They'll never stop, but they're really not going to get anything from him. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.